What's up? Hello. Hello. Usually I go live on Facebook, but for some reason the software wasn't working. Who cares? Adam Hudson here. Super stoked to be here with you. Hello. It's Wednesday night, September 2nd. Tomorrow's my 40th birthday. Oh my God, what's happening? Anyway, titled this one, Letting Go and Letting God. I've been chatting over and over with folks recently about the idea of spiritual growth and how vital it is that I sustain effort to grow spiritually. And that comes through a whole set of practices that I have, including it gets as mundane as like brushing my teeth and making my bed in the morning. And it gets as religious as meditating, sitting at night and doing a set of prayers in the morning. I rely on those practices, but recently, I think fundamentally, my path has lent itself to self-reflection. I have to be about the business of practicing inventories, exposing and unrooting and peeling back the layers of my fears, really, and the versions of myself that are showing up as inadequacies, self-doubt, victimization, fear, doubt, and disbelief. Like, I've got to be willing to surrender that stuff, but it takes so much practice. And a lot of times, I'm just unaware. I don't know what I don't know. And it takes a long time. Why does it take so long to wake up? Wake up! Like, it was a guy, tonight I was in doing one of my practices with a group of men, and there was this guy, and he was homeless, and he was literally walking around the building that we were holding our practice in. And I was just observing him, like, this dude doesn't even know he needs us. Doesn't even know he is, his body is taking him to the place where there are spiritual solutions, emotional, social, psychological, even physical solutions to the difficulties of life. And he's circling place, just blind, having blinders on. And I was talking with one of the guys that I mentor, and then a couple of other people that are part of my community about this process, this grief process, that letting go inevitably requires that some part of me, some part of my identity has to be put to death. And that is god awful scary. And it hurts, because some of the things that have defined who Adam Hudson is, I have loved, right? And so I'm deeply connected with parts of my identity. And yet it's interesting, because as I continue to grow, I'm discovering I have got this part of me has to die. Recently, I've been thinking about a fear inventory, and how some of the way I have fears around growing professionally, around producing my podcast and writing my book, continuing to grow a speaking career and producing workshops, and then I have fears around relationships, attracting the woman of my dreams and sort of being available, making myself available for a growing relationship, and the fears are around the relationship. If I am honest, I ask myself, why are you afraid about this? Well, it's because of my history, because I've failed consistently at developing an intimate long-term relationship. And so I have very little evidence to apply, and very little successes and wins to sort of say, to have more self-confidence and faith. And so I've got to come to the point where I erode that fear, peel back the layers on that fear enough so that I get to an affirmation, and I can claim, self-reliance has failed me, but I now trust an infinite power, an infinite amount of resources to the development of my dream, right, of my goal. And so affirmations are this fundamental practice now that I do, and sometimes they wax and they wane. I've got a buddy who's he's committed to calling me every day and checking in his affirmations, and that's good for me because I get to do the same. And then this reciprocal relationship of growth. But in those affirmations, there's this terror. There's this underlying Leviathan in the affirmations, and it is that part of what has made Adam has to die in order to realize the affirmations, and that scares the shit out of me, right? Because I fear change, and man, and it's amazing how frustrated I get when I'm asked to grow, when a circumstance unfolds in my life and I've got to put to use a new tool. I've got to set a new boundary. I've got to have a conversation that's going to be uncomfortable. I've got to develop a new practice that's going to erode, that's going to get in the way of things that I'm like, I can't game tonight. I was hoping I was going to game for like 4 hours. It's like, no, you got to go get to your practice. And but it's interesting how frustrated we can get with that development, that spiritual, psychological, that whole self-development, that process of individuation. And so often it's like, I love this analogy. We terrorize ourselves, not like we're not growing fast enough, right? Or I'm not developing the skills that I need in the appropriate amount of time on my timeline. And so I cannibalize inside, cannibalize myself. And it's like, it would be like the metaphor for that sick practice, the self-judgment and the self-critique it's like going up to a flower, to a plant, a seedling in winter, and berating it to death, accusing it of all sorts of error, and like fundamentally flawed. And it's like in the wintertime, like that flower blooms in the summer. There's a natural physical gestation process for any organism. And for this spiritual development, right? Which is also paradoxically a physical development that affects a network of my relationships, my employment, how the self-talk that I have. And so, I'm just trying to exercise a little bit of gentleness as I go through these different ways of grief process, letting go of parts of myself that have to die. It's why is it like this? Anyway, I just thought I'd check in a little bit. I hope you're so well. I love you. Stay well. As what is it? David Goggins says, stay hard. All right. Bye.